Good evening, everybody. This is the Conservation Commission meeting for February 10th, 2025. And around the table we have
Laura Graham,
Betsy Chapik,
David Demrest.
Trinity Schroeder.
Karen McKnight, and Patrick. Can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, and Patrick Lamphere.
I think is there someone else remote?
I don't see
Is
it.
it up on the far right corner?
Those little three dots.
No, to the left, person shape.
I think the two means Patrick and us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So does, are there any adjustments to the agenda? No? Hearing none. We do have a member of the public here. Do you have any comments before we begin?
May I reserve my comment for the Cranbrook agenda item?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, all right. We have another person, and I think it might be Penny, but not. So the next thing on the agenda is approval of the December 9th minutes. And the folks that were there were Karen, Patrick, Lori, and Penny. And I'm just gonna wait because if this isn't Penny, we can't approve the minutes. Hello, caller one. Do we have a?
Hi, Karen, it's Penny. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Oh, Penny, I'm so sorry you're ill.
Oh, thanks. Hopefully I'll recover soon. But I got into the GoToMeeting and I got booted out somehow and now I can't get back in again. So I'm going to work on it, but I have you on the phone at least.
Yes, you do. There's something that's happened to me. I have to retry. Since you're here, we can approve the minutes for December 9th. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Laurie sent them out. Okay.
I just have one change, I think, Karen. I think if you'll look at the last page under new business.
Yes.
It says annual report. I don't know if it's the annual report, but anyway, it says Jens Hilke will be meeting with the UCC on January 16th, and the group will decide if they want to meet with the UCC. I think it's the planning. I think it's the PC, right? It was the planning commission.
Yes. Yes.
I wondered about that.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll be meeting with the planning commission on January 16th.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what we did, right?
Yes.
Okay, instead of our meeting.
Okay.
And then can I take out the group will decide if they want to meet with the UCC, like, right? I don't know what that means.
Well, it said it should be the Jens will be meeting with the UCC and the Peace Planning Commission on January 16th. And then the group will decide if they want to meet with the full Planning Commission, I think is the way.
Okay.
Because it was just, Oh, actually, no. Jens will be meeting with the UCC and Natural Resources Mapping. Oh, no, it wasn't. I'm sorry. Jens will be meeting with the Planning Commission on January 16th. Yeah, why don't we take out that last sentence?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you, Penny?
Yes, I think, yep, that was it, I think.
Okay.
And I'm not quite certain it was annual report. It was to update them on the it's Jens's, I don't know what you'd call it, Karen, but it maybe wasn't the annual report.
Discuss.
Was it
NRIMC priorities?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of that.
Right.
Okay. Priorities.
Okay. So can we have a motion to
Yeah, so
approve
with
the
that
minutes with
change,
changes?
I move we approve the minutes of December 9th.
Okay, can I second that? I can.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, thank you. Okay, good. Thank you. So, back here, conservation small talk. Oh, now this one I have to do in the middle. Okay, so first I share my screen, is that correct? I get this up. Okay. So do I have to share my screen before I,
Oh, it's just up.
oops, yeah, no, I didn't mean to do that. I want to share my screen first, right, and then do it? Oh, it was up there? Oh, okay, Brad was telling me I had to share my screen.
I think if you have it up, then you hit share and you can choose like which tab you want to share with them.
Okay, so tonight, Penny suggested that we have the conversation about conservation by design and how that fits into, possibly, it fits into our work and our educational sessions and things that we'll be having. And so I am going to do that. And so let me see here now. I go here. Okay, so conservation by design is, the state has sort of adopted that perspective moving forward with both Fish and Wildlife and also just the Agency for Natural Resources. And it's a science-based vision for Vermont in order to sustain Vermont's natural resources as climate continues to change. And it wants to sustain natural areas such as our wetlands and forests, wildlife, for plants for future generations. And they believe that if we create a landscape that is functional and can support the animals and flora and fauna, then we will be in a better place as climate changes. So it'll sustain our water, hopefully, store carbon and slow climate change and protect from severe flooding. And that's sort of what, with the small talk that we had a couple of weeks ago, the mini bite talk, that's why I talked about beavers and their importance to that. So it also identifies highest priority areas in the state that are, things that we really need to pay attention to, and they are. First is the natural communities and habitat features. Is everyone, are you familiar with what the natural communities are? What that means?
There are
Yeah.
lots of them, right?
Yeah, there are lots of them, but one example might be the community of maple trees with beech trees and the type of plants that grow in the lower layers underneath. So that would be a natural community. And then it would extend to the animals that would other wildlife, other creatures that would be inhabiting that area because they're number one, that's a source of food for them from the beech trees, let's say bears or squirrels and things. So that's sort of what it is. So that's natural communities is a really high priority issue. And then the other one is, there are three really high priority is landscape blocks. So those are our forest blocks. And the connectors to the forest blocks. And then the third one is the highest priority in surface waters and riparian areas. And that's where the beavers come in and the ponds and the vernal ponds and things like that. And the tool that is available now to Vermonters to see what it's like throughout Vermont and in their communities is BioFinder. And BioFinder is basically, I can't see how it comes down here. Okay, is a mapping. So you can map the high, what's the highest priorities in the state. And here, so you'll see these are the highest priorities. The light green, there's the landscape blocks, so those are our forests. Oops. Let me get this bigger. Can I? I don't think I can. And then you can see the surface waters. And you can't really see them. I wish I could make it bigger. I guess I can't. But those are the blue. And then the natural communities are the dark green. And you can see some of them over on right in here. Those are dark green. And what's interesting about the natural communities is that depending upon the elevation, the natural communities change. And I think a good example of that, I was thinking about that, is if you ski and you've ridden at Smugglers and you go up the Sterling Lift, you see a lot of, you see beech and some, ash, yeah, mountain ash, and things like that. And then if you ride the Madonna Lift and you get to a certain elevation, what you see are spruce trees and fir trees and some of that paper birch trees. So that's kind of a good way of thinking about, as the elevation changes, you're going to see different types of natural communities. So, okay, so that's a functional landscape. We talked about that. And conservation building blocks. I want to get on my, hey Penny. I think she can't hear me.
Yep, I can hear you now and I'm online.
Oh, good. Listen, I have a question. On my laptop, when I click conservation building blocks, I can actually get some words that go along with it, but I can't hear.
Karen, I don't quite understand what's going on. It's okay, I can hear you, but I'm not seeing what's on the screen. I'm just seeing the people in the meeting. But that's okay. I can hear what you're saying, so I don't really know what you're referring to when you're
I'm looking at the story maps.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
There should be like a screen share.
Screen share, that's right.
I mean,
no, I don't want that.
Patrick, can you see what's on the screen?
The share right next to it.
Right next to it.
No.
Okay.
Have share.
Okay, so now let's get this back. Okay, so what I wanted to do here, okay, this is it. All right, so I believe we can read the words, but it is a way of prioritization tool that identifies the lands and waters most important for maintaining Vermont's ecologically functional landscape. And then come on. Why did that work once? Conservation building blocks here. Basic unit of conservation planning is landscape, and it's called a habitat block. And so they, and here you can see, for example, these darker areas are wood areas, and across the way on Route 22A. You can see that the other part is also a wooded area, and maybe it's wet, depends. But there's Route 22A going right through that whole block. So that's, how do you get the animals to go back and forth with that? How do you connect that? And so, so we talk about a functional landscape has to be well connected at multiple spatial scales to facilitate the movement of species. And that's something that we can build into our designs for conservation. So Penny, do you have anything else to add to that? Penny?
No, I think that's all good. I think that if you have the story map, I think the story map is really visually enjoyable and informative. And maybe we could just send that link to Lori to put in the meeting minutes.
I will. Oh, okay. So here, actually, this is better. So I'm skipping back now. So here are the connectivity, these show connectivity blocks in the state of Vermont, and you can see that the darker ones are the highest priority, and then the others are just the priority, but they're still a priority, and they mirror a lot of the, obviously, the mountain ranges. And the network of the highest priority connectivity blocks provide critical connections between the different biophysical regions, between the high and low elevations, and to and from the areas of rare and uncommon geological or biological diversity statewide. So what do we do about that? It's a close-up. Doesn't have Underhill would be way up here. But you can see the 89 runs right through some, across the highest mountains. And Route 4, it's down where I'm from, in Woodstock area. Route 4 runs across some other connectors. Right. So, and they obviously know this, that they provide pathways for species to move east and west and along the moraines north and south. And these pathways are a priority for the state conservation. And you can see the habited, here they are, Montgomery Center and this green area. That whole green area actually is part of a huge effort from the Hollow Mountains to Canada. And they're very active in their conservation areas, but they recognize that the importance of forest and habitat in that area. Forest blocks also connect unfragmented habitat outside of Vermont. And of course it goes across into New Hampshire. Oh, kitty. There are anchor blocks in more fragmented regions of the state that capture known occurrences of rare and uncommon species and natural communities. And especially if you've gone from, for example, Moncton over to Virgins, there are areas that are anchor blocks, and the highway department has made like an under the road walk, area connector for animals to go through. Oh, I'm gonna pull that up. And there are also smaller quality forest blocks that hold special value as stepping stones. And here we see that around Waterbury. Some great biking around there. The cat is, Penny the cat is threatening us with its love. Movement of organisms also between the connectivity blocks are facilitated by a statewide network of riparian areas and vegetated margins on streams and rivers. And in addition to providing cover for the wildlife and a pathway, these linear features provide special habitat for numerous species, including mink, otter, beaver, and wood turtle. And here we can see riparian areas in, this is Highgate Falls. Oh, come on, kitty, not up on me. Down, down. Thank you. And if you bike around there, their bike path goes through here, and you can see a lot of the riparian connectivities. Even leaving from Jeffersonville, and you go north. I guess it's north. Yeah, north up to Fairfield. Yeah, you really can see all of how that all ties together in between the mountains that happen to be around there. All riparian connectivity areas are highest priority features due to their essential ecological function in facilitating the landscape. And within Vermont, connectivity blocks layer, the riparian connectivity layer work together. And here, through Swanton, you can see that here in Swanton, a strip of the riparian habitat connects the Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge located in the orange block on the left, and the rest of the highest priority connectivity blocks. So this must be the orange, there's the connectivity. That's sort of interesting. I never, when I'm up in this area, pay much attention to over here on the right of 89. More fragmented parts of the state, the riparian connectivity layer takes on even greater importance. Knitting together, that thing would move. Knitting together the habitat blocks. And I guess that would be here. Oh, this is for Jens. So unfortunately, it's sort of covered, but you can see the habitat blocks and the connectivity ways. Oh, I can make that bigger. Okay. And then large-scale connectivity and ecological functions it provides depends on the ability of species to travel between the blocks and the riparian corridors. And roads represent, of course, present a barrier to wildlife and the dispersal of many species, including plants. Sections of road with natural cover on both sides are likely to allow the wildlife to cross. And the forest canopy and shrub land, wetland habitat are all beneficial. This is Route 242, and this is going around the, well, if you ski at Jay Peak or you bike up here, that's the route up to Jay Peak. And it is pretty much covered so that animals can go north and south. And then open fields also, and constructed features of developed human landscape may act as barriers. And I think here they're talking about, in particular, fields where they can probably get through. I don't know. Vermont Conservation Design identifies a set of road segments with moderate to high potential to facilitate wildlife crossing based on the quality of the adjacent land cover. And to establish prioritization of likely crossing sites, each 200-foot section of the road is considered along with a strip of land stretching back 250 feet from the road's center line in each direction. And so wildlife crossings, here is that one. Here's one right here. It's a priority one, and any other ones. No. Okay, so priority sites for wildlife crossings are those with greater than 50% natural cover within the rectangle on both sides of the road. Highest priority sites contain more than 75% natural cover. I suppose in here perhaps. So Vermont Conservation Design road crossings data set can be used to better understand terrestrial connectivity and at both the town level and regional scale, and to facilitate conservation planning and to help prioritize settings of wildlife-friendly infrastructure such as bridges, signs, and oversized culverts. And it's very interesting that there's so many crossings, potential crossings there. So conservation design is more than just the sum of its components. By planning for ecologically functional landscape, Vermont and conservation design protects both the organisms that call Vermont home and the physical environment that supports them. And by ensuring a connected landscape, Vermont conservation accounts for the ecological needs of wide-ranging animals while preserving the ability of organisms to move, migrate, and respond to changes in land use and climate. So, and again, the BioFinder tool, we talked about maybe having a class to learn how to use that. Because it's, I think we could do that. So, that was sort of my small talk. Question, do you have any comments or questions or? No?
That's a good thing to know about for sure.
Yeah. Let me see. Okay, so, let me get out of that one. And see what else. So, the other thing we were going to talk about is tiered ecological priorities, and I think that we, last time I passed out a tiered, I believe, with that, didn't I? I can't get down and make copies of it. I didn't.
Karen, could we do our 1 minute, 60-second around the room?
Yes, we could. Yes, we can do that. Do you want to start, Penny?
I will be happy to start, and I will send Lori the email so she could put it in the minutes. I wanted to mention a couple of webinars that are coming up, and I also wanted to mention something called Naturally Curious Blog. It's based on a book that I have that talks about the curiosities of nature in New England through the seasons. So there you can sign up for a daily blog email. The webinars that are coming up, there's one tomorrow called Cold-Blooded Critters, Conserving Vermont's Reptiles and Amphibians. It says Vermont is home to a surprising herpetological diversity of 19 confirmed species of reptiles and 21 amphibians. So it's about the conservation concerns for those. Another one is called Untying the Knot, Community-Based Science Management of Knotweed in the Mad River Valley. That's Wednesday, the 26th. The conservation commissions from Warren, Waitsfield, and Fayston have developed a management approach that's yielding good results with regards to knotweed. So they'll be talking about it, talking about how to sustain a community effort and pass along advice for other conservation commissions. And then the
Penny,
last,
when is that? Wait, when is that one?
that's Wednesday, February 26th at noon.
Thank you.
And I have this in an email and I'll send it all to you. And then there's early detection invasive plants. That's in March. And that is invasive species coordinator Noah Hoffman from Vermont Coverts is going to talk about invasive plants, how to useful tips for managing them and becoming aware of them through early detection. So that's all I got.
Well, thank you. Who wants to go next?
Well, I'm just gonna ditto what Penny presented, because those were my ideas as well, information, so.
Okay, good.
I don't have anything prepared. I don't know.
Well,
I'm gonna pass.
you're gonna pass? Okay. Well, I can tell you some of the wildlife that's going on around my house. And I don't think I told you, I talked to you about my crows. Now I have a rabbit. And it's just happened by mistake, but the rabbit comes out. I used to see it around the barn and it lives by the barn. Now it's living underneath my porch. And he comes up in the morning when he hears, well, I do a little thing of, I put hot water out to bring to the barn for the horse because I don't have her to have hot water, well, warm water. And as soon as he hears that, the front door closed, he gets up on the porch and comes around.
We bring carrots for him, of course.
But I do give him a carrot, yes. Actually, I bought him some really beautiful, wonderful green beans the other day.
Rabbit.
But it's funny because it seems like they're so easy to, when no one else is around, they're very easy to kind of interact with, and he does come out. But if you come to start moving towards him, then he'll run away. And he's living under the porch now. So I don't know what good he's going to do in the spring. I'm probably not going to like it when he eats now I know what ate all the currants off my bushes.
Seems like there are a lot of rabbits
Yeah.
around. We've had 3.
So that's my little small talk about the creatures. And then I have something else. I noticed that the chickadees are hanging around, and I have Christmas lights that in the summer they stay on my porch lit at night, and it attracts a lot of insects and bugs and spiders and things like that. But they've laid eggs or whatever, and the chickadees are there picking them off and eating them. I'd never seen that before.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Anyway,
great.
wildlife, yes. Okay. So let's see, the tiered, Penny, I think we're gonna have to talk about the tiered priorities next time,
Okay.
okay? And the reason is, when I sent Brad the links, I didn't get all of them, I guess, and so I didn't send that last one that has the grid on it of the priorities for Underhill. That might be the priorities for Underhill. So
Okay.
okay. So the number, the Crane Brook Conservation District proposal update is that at this point, we have to organize to put up signs. The signs are here, not signs, but the arrows and everything for the trails. And I think that our Eagle Scout, who's now graduated from high school, will be returning in early March, and he would like to help us do that. But as part of his project, he had to change the scope of what he was doing to complete it because of some concerns that his troop leaders had.
What were they, or what was it that he didn't do enough, or he?
Well, he had done enough, but the concern really was, I think, how much as a Eagle Scout he should be doing on this work. I mean, he's built the little walkway,
Mhm.
and that's something that the town will put in for him, and he's made the signs. And he'll come back as a private person to put up the signs with us.
Seems like we have a lot to sort out before the signs go up.
Yeah,
So it might be unlikely that we do that in March.
well, probably won't, but I know he'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying, yeah, do you want to, what are some of the things we might?
Oh, just, like one idea that I think was spoken of in the last meeting, or the 9th, December 9th, which was,
Yeah.
was having Marcy create a really good map, which she's eager to do. It's just us having to ask her to do that, so that we have a clear sense of trails that are merging, and then therefore how do the arrows get placed. The whole notion of adhering the arrows to the trees or whatever is another. Like, I think there was some question about the type of screw that was necessary to be used, in terms of its length going through the sign, going through the wood and into the tree. And, yeah, like some of the places where there has to be a sign, there's a trail that goes left and a trail that goes right. And do we put 2 signs in? Do we do half of one and half of another? I think it might require sitting down and making a real plan for how that will happen. It is not going to work to have us each with a bundle of signs and go out and put them up and have it really be professionally done, or feeling like it's professionally done. So I think both Penny and I chatted a little bit about the importance of doing it well so that it makes good sense, especially after all the work that Logan had put into it. So I could come up with a real specific list of stuff, and we could talk about it next meeting or something like that.
Sure, yeah, and get it planned, that would be good.
Seems like, right now it's kind of because of the snow, it might be something that happens later in the spring or early summer.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, it's pretty difficult to be there. I think when Laurie and I and Craig put up the last batch of signs, was it not one of the colder days?
It was cold here.
It was very cold, yeah, so, and we didn't have many signs either, so we picked and chose where to put them, but it was extremely.
So I would be willing Oh, Penny, were you gonna say something?
If I could just add one thing, I tend to go down rabbit holes and I don't mean to. It's terrible being in my body sometimes, the rabbit holes I go down. But one of them was looking at fasteners for, and so Betsy, I'll talk with you about this more later, but I just want to bring up, I was looking at fasteners and that sort of led me down a rabbit hole. And the general consensus for people who put up signs, trail signs on trees is you shouldn't do it in the winter because that's when trees are more vulnerable. They're the cold can crack the bark, which then makes an entry point for bacteria and the like. So all the suggestions were for people who do put up signs on trees to wait until warmer weather.
And probably after the sap flows a bit, I would imagine.
Yeah, so I think maybe April
At the earliest,
at the earliest.
I just feel like we're gonna need to, be really clear about how we go about starting from the kiosk or the Irish settlement end, and we might have to all go together. But I was gonna ask if it would make sense if I contacted Marcy and she got busy with a map between now and next month. It might work to have that somewhat in motion.
I think that would be good.
Okay.
Karen,
Yeah.
that sort of brings up something that you mentioned before, Karen, is that we have this list of 5-year plan projects that we need to proceed, like get to the next step on. And you had the idea of project managers taking on those projects and then laying out the tasks and the action items. So could we consider Betsy the project manager for the signs, and then we talk to her about any things that we've thought about or had concerns about, like the fasteners. I want to talk to somebody about the fasteners, but I don't need to use our time in the meeting to do that. So could Betsy be considered the project manager for that?
If Betsy wants.
Sure.
Yeah, if Betsy wants.
I think that's a good way for us to be able to move forward on a lot of things. So I think we're gonna have to divide and conquer a little bit, if that's the proper term.
Yes.
And in any event, the project manager, like I know you have that with DRB, right?
Well, we have job captains.
Yeah.
So it's.
And they
Just
sort of
another name for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, that makes sense, and I think that's a good way of sorting out projects and doing things. Yeah. And so you'll talk to Marcy.
Mhm. And I'll see what she has to say, and I think she's eager. When I chatted with her very briefly a couple months ago, she said she'd really love to do that. She knows the woods really well.
Yeah, Logan had, those are some of I sent everybody his final project
Oh,
written up. I sent it in January. I can resend.
I don't think I saw it, but
Okay, I will resend it, but he had some suggestions for moving forward. And that, talking to Marcy was one, but she'd spoken with us, I think, at one of the meetings we were at together. We were together. Yeah, and then, yeah, so that's a good.
yeah, and there's ideas about the kiosk and a plaque to commemorate the work that Logan's done and things like that. I missed a meeting, I think, that Logan was at, so I kind of lost track of.
So Betsy, I've researched that a little bit with prices and things like that. So I can talk to you about that too, so you can compile all the information to present to everyone.
Okay.
You mean a plaque you researched or, oh. Okay.
Yeah, that was my action item the last time. So I called someone just to get some preliminary idea and pricing.
Okay. Yeah, I know that, you had, what was it? Never mind. It doesn't matter.
And it seems to me as though when information comes back to the collective, we need to have discussion and then maybe vote or something somehow to make it an even Steven decision.
Yeah.
So, question and 2 quick comments. Where is the walkway being placed?
The walkway is going to replace the one that was removed from that wet area, from one of the
Do
furthest.
you have it on the map?
Down where the knotweed was worked.
Yeah, you know where we did the demonstration with the knotweed and we had the mesh?
Yep.
It's right about there.
Okay.
There's like a wet, really wet area that,
Like where it ditches or like where, like going lengthwise or going perpendicular?
oh no, it's just gonna go from the hillside
Okay.
to the, sort of, not to the,
It's
to
just-
the other side. It goes just across the ditch.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what-
perpendicular to the road, right, or to that area, that trail
Yeah, so
across the
looking for
ditch.
it. Yeah.
And then my 2 quick comments is I'd encourage the signage to include encouraging the public to stay off private property. And I would encourage you to consider using nails as opposed to screws, because when a tree grows, a nail works its way out and a screw doesn't. So a nail's better
That's
than-
great, David. That's
Yeah.
one little bit of research that I found, but just repeat what you said. What kind of screws, David, did you say?
I would say nail, not screw, because a
nail and not screw.
will work its way out and a
Right.
screw is like bit into it, so.
Right. In fact, the research I did talked about using aluminum, because if it ever ends up being that the tree falls and you have to cut it up, then it doesn't hurt a chainsaw. Maybe, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense. And you definitely don't want to use copper because that'll poison the tree.
Okay.
So the other, well, we were here when Logan, did you miss the last meeting? Okay, so, after that meeting, met him with his mom and signed off on his work. And he presented us with a check in addition, so it was
$20-some.
yes, that, we can use towards other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's very kind and very nice, hard work. I think we should do some bake sales too. Okay. But that is the result of his bake sales. So David, you wanted to talk about Brook and,
Well, yeah, like that was just what I was curious what the agenda item was about.
oh, no, it was about signage. Yeah,
Yeah, I would really appreciate the both people blocking my access and traipsing over on my property. The more they can be encouraged not to do that, the better for, neighboring private landowners.
Yeah, and your land is one of 2 or 3 that, border Crane Brook. So I think the signage is something that we've certainly put in the ethics sign that's on the kiosk to be respectful of property owners, and we'll be sure to encourage that. Continue.
And then one other thing, just in terms of the town's properties that are like abutting my property and like where the town garage is. The intention of the people giving those lands wasn't unbridled recreation. It was stewardship and conservation. So there's definitely a balancing act that, in terms of if it's not my property, I don't have say other than just being one resident. But, the bird nesting grounds, unleashed dogs that are chasing deer in the middle of
Believe
winter,
me, we've worked,
all of those things are an issue, whether it's private property or public property.
right.
So,
no, those are real concerns of ours, because how do you keep it as a conserved area rather than a public park? I mean, it's a public conserved
yeah,
area,
it was
but
never
it's
meant
not.
to be a park, it was never meant to have Stan Hamlet destroy all the deer yard for the town garage. Like none of that was ever the intention of the people that gave that land to the town. So, stewardship and conservation versus, tons of skiers and bicyclists swarming.
We've worked really hard at protecting that land. It's a gem, and you live right next to it, so.
That's why I bought my land as a gem.
Yeah, there have been other proposals to turn it into something else, and it was interesting to be able to keep it the way it is.
Well, I mean, the way it is, there is the unleashed dogs, there is the
Well,
swarms.
if they're unleashed dogs, then the Underhill ordinance is dogs shall be on a leash or under voice control. And if they're unleashed, quite often, they're not under control.
Yeah.
And that is concerning, especially the nesting birds in the spring and if there are any fawns and things with them, their mom says to stay here, but mom doesn't realize that dogs are gonna be coming around or something.
And also, it hasn't really happened whenever you have like the crusty snow where it's easy for dogs or coyotes to run on top and the deer legs punch through. That's really hard on them. So then the more unleashed dogs there are during that kind of snow condition, the harder it is for the deer too.
Yeah, and the big deal is how to sort of patrol those kinds of things, which we are challenged by as well, and we're working on that.
Yeah, we are working on that. Because it's difficult, but we are working on it because we realize that if we want to keep it as a preserve it as it is, we have to be able to protect the wildlife that are there as well.
The wildlife that comes to it.
Yes, hopefully it still comes to it. Yeah. So that's it,
Yeah, it's changed a lot over the last 23 years, that's for sure.
Yeah. Any other comments about the Crane Brook? That was just the update okay. And Conservation Commission member inquiries. I think it's really difficult right now because many of the town committees, or not committee, but commissions or committees are having difficulty filling positions. And I don't know if it's why exactly. I mean, it is a time commitment, but it's not just us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so far, what was happening was Penny was sending out announcements of our meetings to people who had signed lists, right? And we don't really have any other method at this point to encourage membership.
So one thing Penny and I were talking about when we met a couple weeks ago was just like, what would make someone want to be a member of the Conservation Commission? How do we embrace that? Like, what makes it a great worthy cause to volunteer for? And maybe what are our reasons, or our, what draws us to the Conservation Commission that might inspire other people? And then kind of once we get that, what do you get out of being a Conservation Commission volunteer? And then it might kind of inspire our message that we would put out on Front Porch Forum or on, put out more to the masses of here's some great benefits. I don't know. And I think about Jens Hilke, who was kind of maybe you have snack and it's more of and we tried that for a little bit and got some delicious stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just something Penny and I were talking about a few weeks ago.
Well, I think oh, Penny, go ahead.
Right. I think Lori has a great idea. We were just brainstorming a little bit, and I came up with the idea of education. I want to be educated, and Lori came up with the idea of having fun and enjoying yourself, and that wouldn't even occur to me to have fun. So I think that Lori working with kids just sees how enjoying yourself and having fun can really inspire more curiosity. And I think that's an important thing that I miss all the time in life. So I think it might be really good what Lori says to brainstorm about ideas, and then come up with, who knows, maybe we can make something actually fun in life.
Yeah.
May I get over to two different comments? The other, like, having been on the Trails Committee historically, I resigned because what was being advanced in terms of the Trails handbook, which I agreed with, it took a ton of time, Karen was there, like, it took a lot of time to make that handbook. And then it's fully the discretion of the select board to continue not abiding by that handbook all these years later. So the inefficiency of, this is the town report, here's the Trails handbook. And select board, we're not gonna do that. So having a methodology that, one, navigates conflicts of interest, and two, lets you feel like you've accomplished something in terms of, like, here's the Trails handbook, town will not do it still to this day. What's the point of the handbook? Other than marketing to landowners and deceiving them because it's not legally binding. So to me, like, having that efficiency of action is what would have pulled me staying in it.
And I think the other point that David brought up is good about having more coordination between committees or groups within the town, so we all understand what we're working on and we can work in agreement, and we're not our separate cells of doing something that doesn't really affect anything else. We really need to be able to coordinate and understand and engage and collaborate together, I think.
Agreed. Yeah, good point, Penny, too. Yes.
Well, the efforts of creating some diversion from the step-by-step stuff, in the agenda, the small talk and around the table is, I think, a really great way to soften some of the traditional meeting stuff. And snacks would help, and I'm happy to make snacks for starters.
Yeah, that was just one
Yeah.
thing Jens had mentioned once, but
Yeah, he talks about that all the time.
I think he likes snacks. No, but I mean, so what?
Continuity is really important, boy.
I was thinking also to have a way to get the kids excited about it, and I think some of that comes with whatever we have for activities, but you've got the kids and they seem to get very interested in.
One thing I've noticed, I'm at Underhill Central School this year. One thing I've noticed that other local companies do is they do like an art contest for the 3rd grade or the 4th grade or whatever grade. And then there might be some small cash prize available, and the kids work really hard on creating art for the purpose of that organization. Maybe that's something to help get kids like focused on, what is the Underhill Conservation Commission and what do they do? And you can give them ideas. We're looking for art about, whatever topics, throw it out there. Obviously, I would say monarchs. People, that's easy.
Well, it could be a
Monarch life cycle, or
Right.
whatever, or the animals that live in the area. I mean, it wouldn't be hard, but that would easily get the attention of kids here in the local school.
And then
maybe that gets turned into a poster and hung at the town hall, the library, the schools. I don't know.
So that's a really good idea.
wow.
maybe it's join the Conservation Commission art
Maybe it is.
advertisement
Maybe it is.
that we could make into blow up their art into a 11 by 17 posters.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a really good idea, because the kids, I should think they'd be very excited about it.
They do, they get really excited about it. You tell them exactly what size the art needs to be. And like the teachers go in, they tell the whole grade, this is what we're doing. They read all the directions, all the kids are glued, listening to what, this will be the first ever, whatever. And it's something they're familiar with because they've done it like twice this year already.
Is that what sparked the faces, different portraits?
No,
No?
that was an art show that I connected with the art teacher, and she presented a piece from each individual student, K through 4, to show in the town hall. And the kindergartners did their self-portraits. And that was what it was all about them. Very cute, amazing. And those bird, did you see the show here in the town hall? It was amazing.
It was.
It's fantastic.
It was.
Through voting day, wow. And we're gonna do it again, but similar to your idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
June,
speaking,
July, or August could be monarch months or
Yeah, you could even do it.
wildflower.
I was thinking you could do a calendar, like the Historical Society does a calendar, conservation can calendar, and you sell it at wherever. Not to compete with the Historical
yeah, I was
Society.
going,
Maybe it's a photography contest or something, and we take people's 12, like we
Yeah.
choose 12 epic pictures around Underhill. And
Yeah,
that's a
Oh,
great
those
idea.
are all good ideas.
Well, and
Yeah.
in line with that is the idea that the working on more exciting graphics and logos for the Conservation Commission. And so I wondered if Betsy might want to talk about that.
Are we at a place where we can do that?
I think so.
Well, I think these are samples of how the logo that's been created so far can be used. And I think Penny sent out her own email, which I guess has to be sorted out with a certain program, but this is an example of what might show on the kiosk in terms of the logo and then a QR code that could take you to more information. I think what we need to do is really decide if this is agreeable to everyone in terms of a logo at this point in time for the Underhill Conservation Commission. There's some examples of what Lori put together through, I guess you have a page of the posters that Lori put together that are similar, and so there's agenda pages, there's email pages, there's, anyway, she and I have done a fair amount of collaborating about this, and I think if we like it, we should carry on. If not, we ought to go back to the drawing board. And I don't know if that means taking a vote right now or mulling it over. The idea was to try and combine water, land, and plant life and sort of environment. And we worked on, what's that program called? Canvas, Canva. So I feel like we're at a place where we ought to make a decision. And I don't know if people have other ideas or if I'm being clear, but we have the specific information that we can use to implement it right away.
The only thing that, I mean, I like that very much, but is there a way we could get like a Mount Mansfield kind of a bigger mountain in it? Or for our logo, just because
Well, we could.
I mean, we have, what's there is great because it's got plant life and water.
It gets a little complicated the more, I mean, this is the town, and that has the mountain and the town below.
But also, by the way, just about every other town in Vermont has a mountain for their logo.
For the town.
I mean, Mount Mansfield, I think that, Jericho considers Mount Mansfield, they use that as their logo also.
They think it's their mountain.
That's not their mountain.
I don't know, maybe we could toy around with it a little bit, but what do people
So
think?
could we just have some input from people? Like, do
Yeah.
you not like or is it too colorful? Did you have something else in mind? Karen wants mountains. What about other people?
And don't feel like,
It's more helpful to talk about it if you have something else in mind. It's more helpful to us than to keep working on something that people really don't want.
I think it's nice. It's nice and simple, and I kind of like in one of these pictures how you even changed the color scheme of that same logo.
Oh, for the woodland.
Yeah, for the woodland walk.
Oh, but by the way, that might be a little confusing. Those are actually Instagram. I think Lori makes those in Canva, and Betsy and I decided that it might be better just to keep them just the way they are with the Instagram logo saying, what is it, Lori? Underhill Conservation, or what? I forget what it says.
Yeah, Underhill Conservation. Yeah.
And that just keeping that is simply fine. It's just to show what Lori's done in the past, and if we could just keep having that Underhill Conservation on them, it identifies it.
So that's where the fern image came from originally, was that.
Yeah.
And then they've edited the colors a bit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And added,
What, is this a variation of this, or is
Those ones are older.
Older.
So I think, or maybe that was more recent. I don't know, but just a different Canva template.
Those samples are not to indicate anything about the logo other than the logo doesn't actually need to go on those. We feel like what Lori does with Underhill Conservation as the identifier is fine, but you can't bring the logo into everything.
I think it's a good logo. I think it looks nice at the top of the minutes. I think it's simple but yet like kind of eye-catching, and I think, yeah.
okay.
I like the font, and I think
That's good.
yeah. I think you might be on one of the pages there. There's like a little list of the fonts.
Oh, I think you have to list what's.
Oh, it's this area here.
Yeah,
It should be
it's very easy to read, right? Yeah.
And then Penny, did you ever follow up Brad about getting a Conservation Commission email specifically, or?
Well, you know what, Laura, you're right. He said something about years ago, it seems like, he said something about when things change, we might be able to do things differently. But more recently, he has said that Amanda is the conduit for all of the commissions. Like she is the sort of the wizard behind the curtain that, she uploads the videos, she makes sure the commissions have support. So he was funneling everything through her, but you're right. I remember a long time ago he said maybe that would change. I can ask him again.
And it would be good to ask Amanda what she knows about it, maybe too.
Sure, that's good. I'll talk to them both.
Because then I think we could use, the email logo at the bottom, and I think it would open us up a little bit more to the public if someone could just like type conservation at Underhill, VT.org and then say like, hey, I saw this animal track. Can you help me with this? Or, just it would be a way to open up more conservation communication.
Yeah, instead of having to go through.
It makes more sense than to have somebody's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we could have. So is it time to request something with Amanda? Penny, is that what you were suggesting?
No, I'll just, what Lori was mentioning, Lori and I talked to Brad a long time ago about it, and he said, no, we can't really do that because we don't have a town address that does that. So for the time being, just do it through Amanda. I think it looks a little funny, a little odd to have her name and her extension on the bottom of the letterhead, just because if somebody called it, what they get is, I forget, what is she's the
It's the assessors, it's the
assessor,
assessor.
right. So to me,
Yeah.
it seems a little odd, but she is the conduit. I mean, she is the support person for all the commissions. So I'll talk
She
to them
agreed
both
to
about
it,
it again, but I think it may just have to stay with Amanda. And she's very kind to take care of all of this for everyone too. But I'll see where it stands.
I think that the Quechee Conservation Commission, or maybe Heartlands, has their own email. But I'll just see how that is, I have never really thought about it before, but I do know that they have their own email through somehow attached to the town. And I'll check and see for the next time,
Well, I
or
wonder,
I can send it.
I wonder if we could make a decision about this logo and what?
Just a question. I know that it's hard to add stuff into the logo, but since we're not just talking about land, flora, we're talking about the plant, the vegetation, and the animals also. Is there any way we could add a small creature into this, or would that be too difficult?
It's so funny, I started with the very, very, very detailed woodland water image. And could go back there and check it out. It's detailed and maybe not quite as eye-catching as this might be, but we can try it.
Well, I don't even think detailed, but something very simple. I like that it's simple and eye-catching. I don't know if a small bird, a simple, not detailed, not even realistic necessarily.
Yeah.
Something that would match the style that you already have there.
Or a rabbit.
Or a rabbit.
Trinity,
Or a fox.
Or a fox.
Trinity, admit you want a monarch in there.
You're brilliant, Penny. Penny said monarch. I'm kidding. If it was milkweed, I would agree. I was thinking a little fawn, but a bird. I don't know, something very simple if it's possible.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Knotweed, yes.
That could be not me.
yeah, a fox. I don't know, or just maybe the eyes and ears poking over the hill. I don't know, doesn't not cartoonish, but I don't know. I think that would capture the full idea of the Conservation Commission a little bit more comprehensively.
Okay.
But if that's too difficult or it looks silly, I think this is great. I don't know, and I don't want to cause you more work. I would be happy to agree to it today.
Well, we can check it out. I can't do mountain and animals, and I sort of feel like this is, it's not a personal thing, but this logo puts us aside from the town logo, which has the mountain, and that just feels okay to me. But to incorporate wildlife would be a thought.
Just a thought. Even a jumping worm.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. That was for Penny.
Now you're talking.
So, do we go ahead and check it out, see what we come up with for next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll have to make a decision because we need to move on.
Yes. Okay, so back to the drawing board. And so then the next thing is brainstorming, crosswalk continuation, and with education, I think we should start gearing up for whatever education we're going to be providing this quarter. And Patrick, are you there still?
I'm still here.
Okay. Emailed me and said that he had some suggestions. Do you want to, can you turn on your camera or no?
I'm trying to remember what kind of suggestions I had.
I can read the email, pull it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a sec. Oh, okay. So, you said that, I'm gonna massacre it if I try to say this. Wybe is a nonprofit organization, 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to learn, teach, and preserve the Abenaki heritage and culture. We would maybe able to schedule some kind of Abenaki Native American event to be sponsored by the UCC. Suggestions are forgiveness moon ceremony, field blessings / planting, shooting fire / summer solstice, rain dance, eagle dance, corn ceremony or harvest event. Those all sound good. So I think some of these would be really good. And then Pat did go on to say they could be partially funded by our traveling exhibit grant, but would they require a small fee and some labor and assistance from us, which is doable.
Could make it a theme.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
we have a grant, and this is early in the endeavor and conversation, but we do have a grant to establish some kind of traveling educational, environmental, heritage type event. And as soon as it shakes out exactly what it's going to be, I was thinking I would try to reserve an episode for Underhill.
I think that would be fantastic.
I mean, it could be a lot of different things. We already do field blessings for people with gardens. We already do a shooting fire ceremony, green corn, forgiveness moon. The forgiveness moon ceremony we've just done. So, I mean, there's something like that. It's in addition to being cultural, it's an environmental kind of thing for the Abenaki people. Um, the, I mean, for instance, is the root word for water, I believe, is nebi, but our word for medicine is nebizin.
Huh,
So
that's
there's a
interesting.
lot of that kind of thing that goes on, and in the language. I'm not in any way, shape, or manner proficient, but we do have some people that are. Anyway, when somebody mentioned earlier about what about having fun, um, yeah, that kind of thing that we might be able to do could be fun.
Yes.
Yes.
We do a thing called a snake dance, and it winds its way through or whatever, and we have people join in to do it. It doesn't take any expertise. You have to be able to walk. That's about it. And there's other things like that and we're trying to spread knowledge about the Abenaki people. We're under attack all the time from somebody, mostly the Canadians. And so I was thinking, we're better to try something out, but my own hometown.
And given the big response that we had that for the talk by Fred about 2 years ago now, I mean, there were more than 50 people on that webinar. Yeah, so there's a lot of interest in the Abenaki culture, I would say here.
And when Pat and his son were at the schoolhouse, that was wonderful and
That was fun.
well attended and fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun too.
How about a solstice up in the meadow at on Crane Brook
Yeah.
Hmm.
or something like that?
Or something, yeah, something like that, or, no, I think that the shooting fire summer solstice sounds really good.
Yeah,
So
the
that
shooting fire ceremony is it's basically my family does it. And last year we had 4 archers shooting flaming arrows towards the sun. And it's really
Wow.
an awesome event.
no,
Um,
Fortunately, we don't reach the sun and we don't do any damage.
but it's explosive.
yeah, or something, that sounds really interesting. I mean, there are many, you can't do, it's one ceremony at a time though, correct?
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah, we can do one. The shooting fire ceremony doesn't last very long. You can do the shooting fire in a couple of hours, and the whole thing is it doesn't have to be done exactly at the summer solstice either. You can just do a demonstration.
Casey's Hill
Yeah, Casey's
would be a great spot for that.
And
It has to be a pretty good sized area because of the danger of flaming arrows.
what are the 3 or so that you said are in place now?
The
You
what?
said the flaming arrow
Yeah,
was
we had last year we had archers firing. I think it was 4 flaming arrows precisely at the summer solstice, and
and you
the way the thing works is I gather herbs and spices and grass and leaves and all of this kind of stuff and dry it and make a like a potpourri And then people select individual pieces out of that potpourri, put them into a little square of red cloth, tie it, and breathe or sing or in some way express good wishes into that bag. The bag goes into a fire. We light the flaming arrows or the arrows from that fire and then shoot the good wishes towards the sun. And it's a beginning of a garden type ceremony. And we're hoping, basically hoping for a good harvest.
Could do it down in the orchard, the new orchard. Anyway, you had mentioned there were 2 or 3 that are in place, 2 or 3 celebration ceremonies that are in place. What are they again? The
Yes,
flaming arrow?
we have Forgiveness Moon, which happens in December or January. It's the first new moon for the new year.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Field Blessing, which requires a couple of elders and a child to spread the cornmeal, and that's prior to actually planting the garden. And then we have green corn ceremony, which is typically in August, and it happens whenever the corn is ready to eat. And then we do a harvest ceremony. The shooting fire, of course, is always at the summer solstice, and all of those ceremonies we're well practiced in. And there's also there's an eagle dance and a rain dance. I don't know. There are quite a few different um, pageants or ceremonies or demonstrations that we could do. They're all related to the Abenaki agricultural year.
So in theory, then we could have like a series of 2 or 3, let's say, based on the time of year.
Right.
So we could advertise it as something, the planting of the blessing of the garden, and then this solar shooting the arrows, and then in the fall, the harvest.
Yes, I mean, we could certainly entertain the possibility of doing any of those kinds of things because the grant that we got is based on traveling and spreading the word kind of thing. And so these ceremonies are exactly it. It's what
Mhm.
the Abenaki agriculture year is all about, and we could probably, I'm guessing that we could arrange to be able to give out some heirloom seeds. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's probably a number of things that we could do, and we'll just have to see how it all shakes out as far as the people that we have available to do it. But anyway, I think it might be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you all at a point where if we had a request of 3 ceremonies, that would be a wise thing to do and then sit tightly till the grant follows through, or?
I would
Comes through.
definitely put in a request if you thought you might want to do something like that. The whole thing is it's lost if you don't advertise it and get people to come see it. It
Right.
might not bother to do it.
Mm.
So we would want to do a really nice job of getting the word out for a series of ceremonies.
Yes.
We could
Uh,
do that.
We've
As a celebration of
probably had,
Abenaki.
the maximum we've had is 170 people. So I would think that the town of Underhill could come up with a hell of a lot more than 170 people for something like this. And I don't know. I'm just one person in the Alnaviwi group that's describing this to you and offering this to you. I don't think there's too much danger that we couldn't come up with something, but we're a
Yeah.
fairly small group.
Well, maybe we ought to decide about three ceremonies and make a request.
I think
Exactly.
so.
Exactly. That would work for me because I've already mentioned to 3 others in the group that Underhill might be interested in something, and
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, one of the other members of the group is Morgan, my son. So he's the major singer, drummer, musical guy in our group.
Yes. Yeah, and he also makes some very fine leather and fine tools and things too. Very nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Lamphere guys are very talented individuals, I must say.
Yes, they are.
If you do say for yourself.
And if you
What's
don't,
the eagle
there's a good
dance
chance
like? What's the eagle dance all about?
It takes 2 people, and Morgan is the only person I know that can pronounce the words. It takes the singer and the drummer. They do a dance. The guy dresses up as an eagle, and he sweeps around with his arms and does a little, almost like a square dance kind of thing, where you dip for the oyster or something. And
Is that
anyway,
something that happens at a particular time of a certain season of the year?
no, eagle dance is usually done when it's not time for one of the others. Um, the you don't need a rain dance in Vermont much anymore, so we hardly ever do that one.
Oh my goodness.
But that would be something, if you were interested in something like that, all you really would have to do is express an interest in it, and we'll figure out what we can do and get back to you.
Good.
Yeah, I think this would be really interesting.
Could do a flaming arrow, a forgiveness moon in the winter, and a harvest or something green corn in August.
Yeah, so Patrick, what I'm going to do is forward your email to me out to everybody else so that, because it has the list of possibilities, I guess is the way to say it. So you'll have to read down to the very bottom to see that. I'm like, okay, sending it to everybody. I think I have everybody on the list. Yes.
And of course, all of it is predicated on not losing our grant. There's some of that funding problem out there.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a state or federal grant? What is it?
So is it state or federal?
That one is it's federal money. It's Lake Champlain Basin program.
Uh,
So basically, we're supposed to be doing it within the Lake Champlain Basin area. So that means
Well,
all the way from the Canadian border on this side of the Greens, and certainly as far as as far as Otter Creek, if not farther down.
yeah. Well, this is sort of the greater Champlain Basin area. Underhill, sort of.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Greater.
Yeah, greater.
Yeah.
Greater. Yeah, how about, we noodle it around and decide which one, do we want to decide which tonight, or what, do you want to think about it, think of how we can put together a program, space it out?
You've got time to think about it.
Maybe
We don't do
next,
too many dances in snow
Make a
waist deep.
decision. Yeah. Yeah, we can probably make a decision at our next meeting. That'd be okay. Yeah, talk
Yep.
about it and
would it be directed to you, our request, or to someone else?
You can send it to me. I'm the president of the nonprofit Alna Byleaf. And there's a lady named Holly LaFrance who is the treasurer. There's a lady named Carol McGranahan who is the secretary, and Morgan is our grants manager.
Do you know when you'll know about your grant? Is there a timeline or something?
No, we've actually got I think 2 years or more to work on the grant.
Oh,
I should say 2 years or more to spend the grant.
oh,
okay,
that's good.
yeah, so we need to spend it, help you spend it.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. We would like to make sure that as many people as possible know that the descendants of the original settlers of Vermont are still wandering around trying to do stuff.
yeah. Well, thank you, Patrick. This is I'm excited. I think this will be really interesting. Another educational thought is, because our woodlands are so important to long-term conservation and moving with climate change, I wondered if it would be time to invite, I haven't done any research on it, but invite someone like Ethan Tapper to come and get people fired up about the woods again. And I know that he's got a good draw and remind people of the importance of forests.
I think we ought to put him in with Green Up Day and have a walk with him in our Crane Brook and help him sell his book,
Oh,
just as a thought.
okay, so that is, we know that Green Up Day is going to be something like, they've already started, the state has already started sending things.
Oh, they have
I think, is it usually the first,
June?
no, it's the first in May, the first Saturday in May? I think it's May 3rd this year.
That was just something that popped off the top of my head. If we're talking about,
He's booked.
is he?
Yeah.
How do you know he's booked?
This is his calendar of events. He'll be in Massachusetts.
Yeah,
so
he's so busy.
really taken off with his books. And I'm not sure like what his rate would be at this point. Like, right? He's kind of like a famous guy now, not operating for free under like,
his
community
own,
forester.
his own business.
Yeah.
But I think, it is but we were one of his,
I know.
you know, he has a management
POG.
plan. Yeah. So maybe we can find out what his rates are. I can contact him
Yeah.
and find out if it's possible. I don't know when
So
it,
he'll be that weekend.
Let's make a bet. Let's
make
make
a bet. That is
That's a
your
big
bet.
deal, too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I'd
say
love to go to that.
$1,500.
Really?
That's my bet.
Really? I was gonna say maybe $500.
Well, maybe if it's not too expensive and if it's not Green Up Day, we could still get him.
Yeah.
But
That'd be
he's
good.
just like exploded. It's so exciting. We could invite his rock band, his punk, no,
Oh, yes, what's the name of that?
Buzz or,
Something like that. I can tell you.
it's all right.
You don't wanna know. Okay, well, that was my thought, that maybe we could get him here to talk, you know, get people fired up about the woods and woodlots and, you know.
Who's his,
Yeah.
who's the new county, is it a
Forester?
county forester?
We have a county forester, and we did a series with the mapping in the fall, and he came with also sort of the bigger forester who knew what all the county foresters were doing. I can't recall their names right at the moment. I'm not a good one for names. If they brought dogs, I know the name of all the dogs. So what do I want to ask is,
And is there gonna be a monarch something?
I don't know, at this point, I may be traveling all summer. So, I'm not sure yet.
Full life.
well, is it,
But I do know that the local teachers do end up raising monarchs, and so I know that in the fall, I will have plenty of opportunity to demonstrate the tagging,
Oh,
the
super.
testing. I did that this year at Underhill Central School, and so even if I can't raise monarchs or do a workshop on that, I'm sure I will be able to walk into classrooms and bring tags and
Oh, great.
do the tagging and testing and feeding
Um,
and stuff.
are you thinking that the banks by Casey's Hill, even if there was some scratching, just not a big deal, but scratching, we could plant some wildflowers?
This spring,
Mm-hmm.
we probably could try and get something growing.
I think it'd be worth a
Do
try.
you think so?
Yeah, I'm not sure how rapidly all that grass might or might not grow.
I think we'd have to be really fast.
Mm-hmm.
What about could we spend a little bit of money and plant actually some established plants that we get from a local native spot?
It's an idea. I don't know what they cost,
Yeah,
but
Would
that's
you-
an idea.
there's a garden center in Westford. Full Circle Gardens does a lot with native, and they might even be willing to do some donating. I could check, or you could
Betsy,
check.
there's the place Toby right down on Brown's Trace. She's in Underhill, right? She does native plants.
Yeah. I don't know her name. What is it?
It is Toby, and
you mean last name or first name?
her first name is Toby, Tobi,
Okay, so it's, okay.
T.O.B. what?
Tobi. I might
Toby.
Tobi. I might be able to give you more information in just one second.
I think she's the one that had plants at the pollinator pathway event that she was giving away as a raffle.
Yes, I think so. I think she's the one.
That would be, I think, fairly easy
That's
to
true.
do. It might not
Yeah.
necessarily be a big, like, you could get
Yeah.
some kids from the school, maybe,
Yeah.
a few adults, and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
just be nice to start something
something.
like that.
It's not just grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to get every child in Underhill to pick a jumping worm, and then we might be able to get rid of our jumping worms.
Penny, have you considered giving a demo in the classrooms?
Well, it's not really, possibly in September we could do that. They don't reach maturity until the end of July, so you can't really tell what they are. But in September, maybe that's a good idea. There will be a jumping worm workshop, hands-on at the library this summer, if there's a desire to market that from the Conservation Commission, whether you want to do that or not.
Well, I know that UCS has a garden.
Yeah.
They would potentially be interested in having you come and check their garden for jumping worms and do a demo with the kids. The kids do plant potatoes and harvest them.
Oh, that's a good idea then. In the fall, that would be the way to do it.
Or the spring. Oh, but you said they're not richer until the fall.
Right.
That'd have to be a fall
And the
one.
potato patch.
Check the potato patch.
That'd be a fun activity.
Could be fun. Mm-hmm. Kids might cry though if you drown the worms. I don't know.
I don't know, I think.
At the library, they're jumping worms at the library garden. And when they harvest the potatoes in, I can't remember when it is, October, they invite the nearby nursery school to come over, and the kids love picking the worms. They love picking worms and throwing them in soapy water or crushing them in their hands.
Okay, never mind then. Let's try this. Jumping worm.
Yeah. Who can find the most jumping worms? Yes, contest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so we started a list. Different possibilities.
Karen,
Alright.
I wondered if, I know we don't have time to talk about this, but I wondered if it could go in maybe the minutes for new business for maybe talking about next time. I just wondered, when do we need to start planning for Green Up Day, and what do we do? That's one thing. The other is there going to be a plant sale? Is there a hope to have a bare root plant sale? And when would we need to start planning for that?
We could, do you want to put it on the agenda for next time?
Sure. Or,
And
sure.
Green Up Day, we should, so if we start talking about Green Up Day in March, that gives us 2 months to plan it. Or a month, and then to orchestrate it for the next month. So are you thinking the next meeting, want that on the agenda?
It seems to me like we need to start planning for May
Yeah.
3rd, so we'll only have 2 more meetings, right, before then?
Right, yeah, we do. And the other thing we need to have is the ecological priorities grid that was supposed to be tonight, that I didn't realize I couldn't use the printer for. So,
And plant sale, Karen, is that something you're hoping to have? And if we do, we might want to make it bare root, and we've got to figure all the logistics out of that.
mm-hmm.
Plant swap, right? It's plant swap.
Let's swap. And also some research. I know other people have been doing them. Other towns have been holding them, and I'll have to go back through my emails and see if I have any of the names of people to find out how they held them.
I have a very good, I did some research and have a very good printout of a conservation commission that what they did to create their bare root plants for sale.
And it seems doable, but it seems fairly labor intensive.
Is that material for a small talk?
Sure. Yeah. But when would we do that? I think it's actually good in terms of, I think it'd be a good small talk also in terms of when you're sharing plants with someone, just showing you what you would do to make it work, to give a plant.
What I meant was a small talk here to
Yes,
talk
yes.
about, yes, yeah.
April.
Would that give us enough time? Yeah, that would be, April would be good because that gives us, it's usually the first Saturday in June. Right, for plant sale, so, yeah. All right,
May I say one tiny little thing?
yes.
Air prune beds are a really good way to do bare roots. And I could send you guys a link.
Oh, that'd be interesting, yeah, that'd be good.
David, can you say that again?
Just air prune beds.
So, let me see, wait, hold on. So, oh yeah, it's air, prune, like the fruit,
Very
beds.
labor saving.
And air prune beds, that's,
Oh,
okay,
interesting.
yeah, send us a link.
And we need a small talk for next month as well. While we're talking about small talks. Wait, did I miss your fish? Or was that, I did?
I did, yeah, I did talk about fish.
Shoot.
Well, I think Penny was going to talk about, how to have a plant sale.
Oh, I thought that was April.
Okay, we can do that in April.
Oh,
Yeah, no, that's good, yeah. All right, so Penny will be April.
maybe David would like to do an air prune bed small talk.
I have too much stuff going on, but thank you.
Oh, shoot, it only has to be 10 or 15 minutes.
5 to 10.
I'll email you the thing and you guys can do it.
Okay. Okay, one of us will do it, maybe.
And I don't know if Elmer Roots or anybody like that might be using that, but somebody around would definitely be actively doing it.
Okay.
So,
You know, it might
I'll
be good,
do it.
Betsy, it might be good to include with the idea of making bare roots for plant sale. Maybe it would be good to present the two at the same time. So let's talk
Okay.
about
Okay.
that. Karen, I know that there's no more time left to talk about these things, but I just wanted to mention also, maybe it could go on the meeting minutes for new business for next time we'd hit it, like the town forest survey. We're going to talk about that. And Sabina sent an email from the Conservation Commission in Jericho about future land use. And there was a presentation on that this past week that the regional planning commissions are talking about defining areas of growth, and that's for housing. And so I think she's wondering if we want to collaborate with Jericho and just talk about our borders, our edges with Jericho. And I mean, it's regional. You have to start thinking regional, in life. And so just talk with them about what they're doing and thinking. So that's something that we need to think about.
Yes, for that one, I thought that what she was referencing is what occurred at the planning commission last week. And we didn't know that that was going to happen.
Was
Isn't
that right?
That's what I think, because if you recall, Sandy said they came to speak to.
Oh, right.
Yes, so I didn't respond to the email today, because I think that's what it is, but I was going to.
Okay, so we can look at that. Should be able to look at
can
that
look
video, right, Karen? That recording.
Yeah, and then the thing about completing the town forest survey is this in-play of concern of what are they going to do with the data? Because if earlier, are they going to put something on a map that will encourage a lot of people to come to Underhill, thinking that Crane Brook is a park, not a conservation area?
Karen, that is such a perfect question, because do you see the opportunity for that it is so parallel to our asking people if we can go onto their property to do a natural resource inventory? Can we inventory what's on their property? And people ask the same question. Why would I want my information documented? Why would I want anybody else to know what's here on my property? So, I mean, it's a similar question. And so it's good to look at it from that angle too. But the survey, I looked at the PDF of the survey, and the survey does, ask you, is your intention for your town forest to be like untouched? Is it to be recreational? Is it to be educational? What are your desires for your forest? And we're going to try to connect you up with resources and funding that can help you. That's one of the things we could do. So I mean, it's a similar sort of thing. It's that they're trying to coordinate the stewardship of our forests. And so they want to know where the forests are, just like we wanted to know where the mass stands are, and we want to know where the crossing points are. It's sort of that kind of thing. So I think it's good thinking, but just another way to look at it.
That's true. I was looking at their reasoning in their red letter, with the note that came with it, from the UVM person, and I didn't have a sense that this was anything more than somebody's project. I don't know why I felt that way, but that's what I got from it.
I will send out a link of a video They have a slideshow, and they have someone presenting the slideshow, and it's much more informative. So I'll send that link out.
Okay, that sounds good. So, anything else before we close and we adjourn?
You got my email?
I did, thank you. Yep.
And
Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move that we adjourn the meeting at 8:36.
8:30 on the.
8:30. Yeah.
That clock is,
Yeah, that's what
an extra.
Yeah, the 16 minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, so moved. Well, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you all for coming.
It lets town staff leave 15 minutes early.